I'm a mortgage broker. I'm based in Sydney, but I can serve anyone anywhere in Australia. Today I'm going to talk about, it's not very clear I think. Today I'm going to talk about, how to negotiate for a good price in the hot market, okay? Because now property market is hot, so how to negotiate a good one, okay? Yeah, what I want to say is this is not a financial advice, and I love sharing everything I know. That's why I'm sharing with you, okay? I don't know about other places. In Sydney, one of my customers told me today that you only allowed to go and do physical house inspection if you are buying it to live in, not investor, okay? Investor can only do online inspection, so, and you also need a pre-approval, okay? So if you're looking for a house, if you have a pre-approval and it's a home to live, I think you can go and inspect physically, so you have a better chance. Physical inspection I think more important because it's a big decision, right? You shouldn't make up your mind just from the photos, right? Okay, so yeah, so this is just a tip. That's what's happening in Sydney. Okay, today's main topic is how to negotiate for a good price, when you buy in Sydney. I mean, when you buy in a hot market, okay? So what it is knowledge is the power, okay? If you know more about the house you like and the housing market and the seller and their motivation, the better position you are, okay? But so you find out everything about them, but don't tell anything about you, okay? Like your motivation, your financial situation, they don't need to know, okay? When the agent asks, just say, I can afford to pay the price if it's worth it, they don't need to know, okay? So, and second one is there's more people involved in negotiation than buyer and seller, there's always lawyer, conveyancer, and the family members of the seller, okay? So find out who is involved, who's in control, whose decision matters, and so you can cater this your action for their motivation, then you get better success at negotiation, so negotiation, the person who wins is the person who asks questions and listen, okay? Okay, and when negotiating, there's more than price. Then there's a lot of things you can negotiate. It doesn't involve price, okay? Say example, if usually half of the home that's being sold in Australia because people want to downsize, or people die, so if you example, if you want to buy a family home and there's an old couple selling, and you just tell them, I want to grow the family here, and there's a nice school, they're gonna grow up happily here, my children. Then the seller want to give it to you because they like the story. Everyone want to help other people if they can, so they will think about, our family grown up here, I want to help somebody family grow up here. They can imagine the children playing around in the backyard, how happy they are, so you have, with your story, you have better chance of winning, and You can also negotiate on settlement duration. Okay, uh, if you realize that time is the motivation for the seller. Okay, um, if seller want quicker settlement and if you can afford it, do it. You know, you can ask us, mortgage broker, if that's reasonable. You know, and you can also negotiate on inclusion like furniture instead of the price. You know, so you know, people don't want to throw their furniture, or they don't want to sell it at very low price. So if you say, I'll take all your furniture but I won't negotiate on price, then they'll be too happy and they give it to you, you know. Okay, so if nothing works, it's not end of the world, you know. Just be ready to go away and next one, you know. It's a big decision. Don't do it lightly, you know. There's a lot of fish in the sea. You only want one. If this one no good, there come another one. You only want one, okay? But make sure you prepare. You do your research. You ask a conveyancer to check the contract, check with the council, you know, body corporate information. If it's a strata, you know, check with council to see if you under the flight path or school catchment. If there's an ongoing dispute between the neighbor, has there been any recent death in the family, especially suicide? A lot of people suicide, you know. Has it happened in the home you buying? Structural issue, you know, is the roof leaking? Plumbing good, otherwise cost you thousands of dollars, you know. Yeah, so and the finance, you get pre-approval from someone like me, okay, and get like if you come to me, I give you free property analysis report which tell you how much approximately property worth, looking at, you know, how much similar property was sold around the area during the last 3 months. So that free report from me will help you make offer and make negotiation with the agent. Okay, so you know, if it's a private sale, you know, you start by, you know, you start with the offer. You know, I always tell my customer to start with very low, so they will tell you how much they can reasonably sell it for. So if you start very low, they will say, you know, no way I can sell you at this price, but you might have a chance at that price, so you know how much they can sell it for. Okay, and you prepare for counter offer. You know, agent will always do counter offer. Okay, and like if your offer accepted, you know, prepare for your condition. How many days cooling off? I always ask 10 business day cooling off, because the lawyer also have to do his check, and there's also pest inspection, building inspection, etc. And if your counter offer not accepted, you negotiate more, going forward, backward, you know. And if you can't go up no more, also discuss with us. If you can't go up the price no more, let it go, you know. There's always the next one. Okay, and if they take if the vendor, the seller, take a few days to accept your offer, I tell the agent, my offer only lasts for 2 days. I'll withdraw after 2 days. Because what happens is, if they take too long, then you stuck there. You can't go and offer another one, you know, especially if you already signed the contract. Okay, the next one, if the property selling under auction condition, then you better be prepared for everything. You know, come to us, we'll tell you everything. I'll help you do upfront valuation. The lawyer will check the contract, you know, the lawyer will organize pest inspection, building inspection for you. Okay, And then on the auction day, don't get too excited. Bid the last minute. Okay, if you bid early, there's always other people bid you, so bid at the last minute. Okay, and stick to your plan, stick to the price I give you. I'll say property valuation is this, so stick to that price. Don't get emotional, don't pay over. Okay, and also ask the agent if current offers the seller get are acceptable. Then you know how much other people are offering, and how much you could do. So if it's too much, don't even turn up on the day. So you can ask agent to get an idea. And if not successful, just move to the next one. Okay, so these are the tips I can give you. Even in a hot market, if you negotiate well, you can get a good property at a good price. Okay, so when you make money is when you buy the property, not so you need to buy at a good price. And in a hot market, of course, it's hard. So make offer straight away. So get ready, be very quickly with our help, and make offer straight away. When you like something, don't wait for the next week, otherwise it's gone. But then as long as you prepare with our help, you be prepared, you can make a good offer and you negotiate properly, so you get property. Okay, so any help you need, I'm always here. I'm just a phone call away. I not only do the home loan, I help you get a good property at a good price too. I'll coach you. Okay, so yeah, have a good night. May God bless you. Okay, thank you very much. Bye.